fam, your boy Geek Goes Gamertop on the microphone. It looks like the wait for the next NetherRealm game might be a lot shorter than we thought. During a recent and very telling investor call, a top Warner Bros. Executive basically laid out the entire roadmap for their biggest franchises, and all signs point directly to what Ed Boon and his team are up to next. And no, this wasn't some vague throwaway comment. It was a specific window of time and a clear statement that has the whole community buzzing. We're about to break down exactly what was said, what it means for NetherRealm's famous development cycle, and why this all but confirms a huge fighting game is just over the horizon. For years, the fighting game community has moved to a certain rhythm. We knew what was coming, a predictable flow of releases from the biggest studios in the game. But then, that rhythm was broken, leaving everyone wondering what was next. Now, a single statement from a WB exec has shattered the silence, and it completely realigns the future of NetherRealm Studios. So, what did he actually say? And how does it tie back to a decision Ed Boon's team made over 3 years ago? Let's get into it. Alright, let's set the scene. In a late February 2026 earnings call, JB Perrette, the CEO and president of global streaming and games for Warner Bros. Discovery, said something that got the entire industry talking. He was getting real about the company's strategy, admitting that 2025 was a year of reset because the gaming division got distracted going after too many IPs with too broad a set of studios. That's a pretty honest admission, and it makes sense. This comes just as the company's future has been secured in a massive deal. A bidding war for Warner Bros. Discovery just concluded, with Netflix ultimately declining to match a superior offer, leading to a definitive agreement for Paramount Skydance to acquire the company in a historic $110 billion deal, with a merger of that scale expected to close later in 2026. It's no wonder executives are trying to project confidence and a clear, focused strategy for their core assets. But then he dropped a line that really matters. Perrette said, and this is the key quote, that the real fruits will start coming in 2027, 2028 when we return to some of our biggest franchises. He didn't stop there either. Other reports confirmed that WB Games is zeroing in on 4 main franchises: Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, DC, and the one we're all here for, Mortal Kombat. This isn't just corporate speak. It's a public promise that lays out a clear timeline for their next huge releases. For a company that's been restructuring, canceling projects, and giving fans a ton of anxiety, this is the first solid piece of a long-term plan we've seen. They're telling investors, and us, to look to 2027 and 2028. After a year of resetting, the heavy hitters are officially coming back. And when you talk about NetherRealm Studios, there are really only 2 biggest franchises that fit the bill. So, how does a corporate earnings call directly point to the next NetherRealm game? This is where we connect the dots. And honestly, it all lines up. First, let's look at NetherRealm's own timeline. Ed Boon himself clarified that while their next big game hasn't been in full development for 3 years, they knew what it was going to be 3 years ago. That's a huge deal. It means that way before the Chaos Reigns expansion for Mortal Kombat 1 was even on the table, the next move was already decided. The gears started turning on the next major project years ago to keep the studio's massive talent busy and ensure a smooth transition. Second, think about NetherRealm's classic development cycle. For years, the studio was like a finely tuned clock, dropping a AAA title roughly every 2 years and alternating between Mortal Kombat and Injustice. We saw it with Mortal Kombat X in 2015, Injustice 2 in 2017, and Mortal Kombat 11 in 2019. That predictable pattern got thrown off when Mortal Kombat 1 came after Mortal Kombat 11, a switch Boon blamed on a few things, like the challenge of moving to a new version of the Unreal Engine and dealing with the pandemic. With Mortal Kombat releasing in 2023 and its final support wrapping up, the studio's main focus has obviously shifted to that next game they decided on years ago. Full production is without a doubt in full swing, a 2027 or 2028 release window, just like the one Warner Bros. Announced, isn't just possible for NetherRealm. It's the most logical time frame you could imagine. It gives them a solid 3 to 4 years for a major title, putting them right in that return to our biggest franchises window Perret promised. This is where it all starts to click into place. Warner Bros. Sets the timeline, and NetherRealm's own schedule fits right into it. If you're getting hyped for a new game from the masters of fighting games, give me a solid and smash that like button. It really helps the channel out. Now, let's tackle the big question: what is the next big game? This is the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? With Warner Bros. Promising a return to its heavy hitters and NetherRealm ready for its next project, it really comes down to two main suspects: a sequel in the new Mortal Kombat timeline, or the one we've all been waiting for, Injustice 3. Let's start with the case for Injustice 3. The evidence is pretty strong. First off, there's the pattern. NetherRealm breaking their alternating cycle for Mortal Kombat 1 feels like a one-off exception, not a new rule. Many fans and insiders think that the studio is ready to get back to the DC universe. Ed Boon himself said the door is not at all closed on Injustice and knows how much fans want to see that story continue. The timing is also just too perfect. The first Injustice came out in 2013, and Injustice 2 was in 2017. A 2027 release for Injustice 3 would be the 10-year anniversary of Injustice 2, a marketing opportunity that's almost too good to pass up. On top of that, rumors have been swirling for years, including hints from voice actors suggesting work on Injustice 3 has been going on for a while. With James Gunn's new DC universe getting started, a big, flashy DC fighting game in 2027 would be a perfect corporate crossover. A lot of people are betting on this one. But you can never, ever count out Mortal Kombat. It's one of the absolute pillars of Warner Bros. Games. Mortal Kombat 1 was a reboot, but the end of the Chaos Reigns expansion blew the doors wide open to a multiverse of possibilities. It's the perfect setup for a direct sequel that could explore wild new timelines and bring back characters in totally unexpected ways. And let's be real, Mortal Kombat sells. It constantly outsells nearly every other fighter out there. From a business standpoint, making another MK is always the safest bet. Of course, there are wild cards. Could we get a surprise MK vs DC Universe 2? It's possible. What about the fan favorite Shaolin Monks? Well, Boon has poured cold water on that happening soon. Fans never stop asking. But when an exec like Perret talks about the real fruits and biggest franchises, he's almost certainly talking about a flagship AAA fighting game. And that puts Injustice 3 and a new Mortal Kombat at the very top of that list. So, let's put it all together into a realistic timeline. The Warner Bros. Exec gave us the launch window, 2027 to 2028. NetherRealm's development schedule backs this up. This means a full reveal is probably a lot closer than you think. If we look back at Mortal Kombat 1, it was teased and confirmed in the first half of 2023 for a release that same year. If NetherRealm follows a similar playbook for a 2027 launch, we could see an official announcement as early as mid to late 2026. Big events like Summer Games Fest in June or the Game Awards in December are the perfect stage for a reveal that massive. NetherRealm loves a big showy trailer, so while the game is still a year or two away, the hype train could be leaving the station very soon. And just to be clear, we're talking about the next game from NetherRealm Studios, not the live-action Mortal Kombat 2 movie, which is a completely separate project. All the pieces are on board. A top WB executive has put a date on the calendar, promising their titles will return between 2027 and 2028. Ed Boon and NetherRealm have been quietly working on their next big thing for years, and it lines up perfectly with this new plan. While the debate over Injustice 3 versus a new Mortal Kombat is still raging, one thing is clear: a massive new fighting game from one of the best studios in the business is officially on its way. The wait is going to be tough, but for the first time in a while, we know where we're headed. Now, I turn it over to you. Based on everything we've talked about, what do you think NetherRealm's next game is? Are you Team Injustice 3? Or are you ready for the next chapter of Mortal Kombat? Drop your theories and what you want to see in the comments below. And always to drop a solid thumbs up and hit the subscribe button and bell. Don't forget the bell for more notifications on the biggest heavy hitters in the game. So fam, that is it for the news, updates, and theories swirling around the future of the next NRS game in Mortal Kombat 13. So, thank you so much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some fighting games. Until next time fam, away!